But the Amazing Spider-Man 2 isn't worth watching.
No, it is.
No, it isn't.
Changing the subject. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Rewatch. My name is Samuel.
And I'm Jaden.
And today we're going to talk about Chapter 11 and Chapter 12 of The Mandalorian Season 2. So we've been calling it like Episode 1 and 2. So this would be Episode 3 and 4.
Yep.
The Mandalorian cops a lot of flack from quite a few Star Wars fans because it's not exactly groundbreaking, and it gets a lot of flack for having filler episodes.
Yeah.
And we discussed that a bit in the last episode, or episode 2 or chapter 10, where Mando, like the entire episode was Mando gets stuck on a planet and he has to escape. And while, you got to recognize the need to fill in some episodes, this is a 9-chapter series. So
do they really need filler episodes?
Yeah. If they were doing like, maybe 12 episodes, maybe more, then sure. It's like the Clone Wars. The Clone Wars has probably like 12, or maybe a bit more episodes per season. So you sort of have time to go off on different planets and do sort of side episodes, and it's not that offensive. Like, sure, the Jar Jar episodes were absolute trash, and the episodes where C-3PO and R2-D2 go on like some crazy adventure.
Yeah.
And those are episodes you just skip over.
But that's a 7-season show with 24 episodes per season. So they have room for filler episodes. I feel like The Mandalorian should be strictly following a cutthroat storyline that every episode adds to the overall story, which I felt that, episode 2 was just complete filler.
Yeah, for sure. No, I agree. Episode 2 was filler. What did you think about episode 3? Obviously, the plot of episode 3 was, so obviously in the episode before, the Razor Crest, so Mando's ship, was severely damaged. So he's going to have to fix this ship.
Mm-hmm.
He's landed on the place where he was supposed to deliver the frog lady. And the frog lady, or one of her friends, I think, was like, I'll transport you to more Mandalorians or something like that. And so this unknown alien that we've just met in this episode sort of takes Mando on a ship to, like, with the promise of showing him some more Mandalorians, right? And then there's a moment where this alien, who's probably not very trustworthy, pushes the child into the water and then pushes Mando into the water.
Yep.
And I gotta say, in that moment, I was so angry. I was like, I swear to God, if this is another goddamn filler episode, I'm going to, like, I was very, very angry because obviously the episode before was a filler episode, and I thought the rest of this episode was going to be like, oh, Mando's in this bad situation now.
He's going to try to save Baby Yoda.
Yeah, he's going to have to fight this water monster and save the child, and he's also going to have to kill the guy who just betrayed him. And then at the end of the episode, we're just going to be back to square one again.
Yeah.
But thankfully,
it was not.
It did not exactly turn out that way, did it?
No.
Because a couple seconds after I thought, oh, I'm done with this show, somebody who Star Wars Clone Wars fans will know who she is, drops down in this beautiful Mandalorian armor.
Yeah.
Like, the costume designers of this show are really quite, they're nailing the Mandalorian armor, let's say that.
I'm pretty sure I read a post that said it was Beskar armor as well, which is the same as the Mandalorian, obviously.
Yeah, that would make sense. But yeah, so we see BO-KATAN land. Yes, and anybody who hasn't seen the Clone Wars will have absolutely no clue who that is.
Yeah.
And to be honest, it's sort of rightfully so. She's not really like a main character in the Clone Wars. She sort of comes in towards the end as like a an interesting side character, but she's quite important to the plot, isn't she?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Obviously, she is a Mandalorian herself, but by that we mean like she used to live on the planet Mandalore.
Yeah.
And obviously we see her involved with, the Death Watch in the Clone Wars, and she's trying to take back Mandalore from Darth Maul, essentially. Spoilers for Clone Wars, I guess. But we see at the end there, obviously in the final season of the Clone Wars, Darth Maul is victorious. He's put this dictator on the throne of Mandalore and everybody else. So like Bo-Katan is like pushed aside. And so I was wondering if you were thinking about this, but 29 years has passed since those events, apparently. And for me, it just seems a bit weird that she hasn't done anything in 29 years.
Yeah, there is kind of, a gray area there where they obviously have a lot of room to explore. And by the looks of it, she looks the same. She's got the same armor.
Yeah, she looks very similar.
She's still, the outcast of her people, Mandalore. So yeah, it's kind of like this area where it's like, hold up, what has she achieved in the past 29 years? She looks like the same character pulled out of season 7 of the Clone Wars. So
yeah. As Donald Trump would say, in 47 years, you've done nothing, Joe. You've done nothing.
Let's not bring politics into this.
Yeah, no, that's not. I was just quoting the meme. But yeah, so I remember thinking, like, she looks the exact same, and obviously the actor or the actress who plays her is the voice actor of the original character. So
wait, what?
Yes, so I thought that was a bit weird as well, that she actually looks like her
That is
animated
weird.
self. Yeah, so obviously, let's try find her name here, but that's the frog lady, but Bo-Katan Grease, Katie Sackhoff. So she's obviously voiced the character in the Clone Wars and in Rebels.
That is interesting.
She looks exactly like her character, doesn't she?
Yeah, when they were making the Clone Wars, they must have based her character off of the actual actor, which worked out really good in this sense because
exactly, yeah.
Otherwise, they would have had to find another character to play her.
Yeah, and did the aging thing throw you off at all? Because I remember, Bo-Katan's quite young in the Clone Wars, but she looks very young here as well. And I think we're supposed to believe that 29 years has passed, which would probably put her at like 40 odd years old, maybe. I'm not sure what her age is in the Clone Wars. I'm sure we could find it somewhere. Star Wars lore, they've got an answer for everything.
Yeah.
But for me, I think she looks a bit too young.
Yeah.
I was expecting her to be a bit older.
Yeah.
And I guess that's going to come into the next episode as well, because we're supposed to see a certain Jedi as well. And trying to think of how old she is as well. And then the actress who's supposed to be playing her is, I don't know, I'm just a bit weirded out by how young everybody looks. But that's always a complicated thing with Star Wars. Ewan McGregor, supposedly, his Obi-Wan supposedly left Revenge of the Sith looking very young and handsome. And then like 20, 30 years later, he looks like Alec Guinness. So
yeah, I never thought about that.
Yeah, so aging is certainly like something that Star Wars plays, fast and loose with.
Yeah.
But it's okay. So what did you think of like the episode as a whole? Obviously, Bo-Katan is this separate character, so all Star Wars fans are going to get excited. But in terms of like a Mandalorian episode, what were your thoughts? Did you enjoy like the action and maybe touch on the music and stuff like that?
Oh yeah. So I quite enjoyed this episode, and I think it's one of the best episodes that's come out of The Mandalorian thus far. And obviously, all of the returning characters that we've seen, Bo-Katan, and then we get the name drop of Ahsoka Tano at the end as well. And we also see Moff Gideon return. So bringing back all these characters, it kind of felt, I was watching The Mandalorian again. This is what I was interested in the first season, the story that we are following all the way through. but no, I felt that the action was really good. And when they infiltrated that Imperial ship, and I still can't remember what they were trying to do, but I think it was just the Mandalorians were just trying to, I guess, get rid of the ship and then take it over somehow so the Imperial doesn't have it. But I found that scene quite interesting and thrilling, and I also quite like the scene where the Imperial officer thinks that he's trapped the Mandalorians in
Yeah,
the cargo bay, and then and then the other in
it's
command
like
officers
you
like,
trapped them
you
where?
trapped them where? And then he's like, and then they all just get flown out of like the back of the ship. Oh, I remember laughing at that. That was quite a funny scene. Um,
And that's one of the one of the best things about the original trilogy is that the Empire is at the same simultaneously quite evil and dark, but then insanely stupid and
yeah,
funny at the
yeah.
same time. It's like the stormtroopers.
Mm.
And it's how good is it to see stormtroopers again, just like
Oh, so
normal
good, so
stormtroopers.
good.
Um, so yeah, obviously a bit of nostalgia coming from all sorts of areas because you have nostalgia from the original trilogy now, and then
Yeah.
you also have the Clone Wars,
Mm.
and I wouldn't say that's like nostalgia, but obviously we love the Clone Wars, so it's cool to see some of those characters come back,
Yeah.
and it's cool to see Giancarlo Esposito as Moff Gideon again because I
Yeah.
feel like he showed up in the last episode of The Mandalorian of season one, and then we sort of haven't seen him for a while.
Mm.
We didn't see him in the first two episodes, and I think he's attached to the main plot. And we'll talk about this when we touch on the next episode,
Well,
and we get a
actually,
bit
did he
more.
return in this episode, or was it episode
It,
4?
he was a hologram in
He
episode
was a
three,
hologram in
so
episode 3. Okay.
yeah, and I don't think we even see his face. We just see like the back of his head because
Ah,
he says like "Long live the Empire," and then the commanding officer like kills himself.
that's right. Yeah.
Um, but it's cool to see him. I feel like we need a lot more of him. I've been watching Breaking Bad recently, and Giancarlo Esposito is absolutely fantastic in that, and he can really play like a really menacing bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like we've gotten absolutely no characterization for him so far. So my wish list really is for a bit more, character development on his part because it would be really cool to have a really menacing Star Wars villain for Mando to go up against.
Mm.
And so I'm sort of wishing that, the show itself doesn't get too distracted with showing us, past characters that we love
Yeah.
and sort of focusing on these new ones that we care about. Um, but yeah, overall, I really liked the episode. I think I agree. It was one of sort of the best episodes yet.
Yeah.
Um, and how good was that music, though? I mean,
Oh, so good when they were infiltrating that ship.
mm,
That's what I
like
felt like I'd been missing from the season, is just like, bringing back these returning characters and just doing cool action stuff. Yeah.
yeah, Ludwig Göransson, that song where they or the piece of music that plays when the ship, the Imperial ship, is taking off, reminded me a lot of the Trucks in Place song from Tenet.
Oh yeah.
And so as soon as I got a bit of a hit, it's like, oh, this is a bit of a similar to Trucks in Place. I was well on board. I was like, oh, let's go. And all of that action was really, really good on the ship itself with the stormtroopers and obviously you have all these Mandalorians, which is really cool. Um, what did you think? Were you disappointed that that hooded figure wasn't a Jedi, just another Mandalorian?
Um.
So the hooded figure on the
Yeah.
boat
Yeah.
in the trailers.
Yeah. Look, I wasn't disappointed by it, and I knew that it wasn't going to be Ahsoka Tano because, it's not Rosario Dawson who plays her, and I feel like her potential did have a lot. Her character had a lot of potential to be something else, and something that uh could be fairly interesting. But they kind of just made her like this side character Mandalorian, which it's a waste of her character because everyone was coming up with theories of who she is, and is she a Jedi? Is she connected to Ahsoka Tano somehow? And then it just kind of it felt like a waste of a character, which Disney is renowned for doing. Um, but I wasn't completely disappointed by it because I know that um, we are going to see all of these characters that we love so much eventually. So yeah, they could have made her an interesting character and done something else with her, but but it's not, it's not the worst thing to come out of The Mandalorian thus far.
Yeah, for sure. So shout out to Bryce Dallas Howard, who directed this episode. I think you'd know her from Jurassic World.
Yeah, she's got the orange hair, right? She plays
Yeah, yeah,
Claire. Yeah.
yeah. And she's the daughter of Ron Howard, who directed Solo, which is a bit of a fun fact for
Okay.
you. Um, but yeah, so she directed this episode. She directed an episode of The Mandalorian last season, and I'm pretty certain it was the one that introduced Cara Dune, sort of the one on that like foresty sort of planet.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Um,
right.
yeah, and I think that was one of the best
That
episodes
was a
of the
good
first
episode as
season.
well, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, this is all written and produced by Jon Favreau himself, but obviously, he's getting like these directors in to sort of give a new sort of fresh take in terms of the cinematography and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, credit to Dallas Howard for directing probably one of the best episodes yet
Yeah.
of the entire series.
Yeah.
So yeah, so with that being said, shall we move on to chapter 12?
Yeah. Let's do it.
So, chapter 12, The Siege, is obviously the fourth episode in the second series. It was directed by Carl Weathers. So, obviously, Carl Weathers is playing a character as well. He plays Grief Karga.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, from the Rocky series, gotta love him. He's a fantastic actor. So, he was directing this one. And sort of the plot followed. So after the events of the last episode, the Mandalorian, he still has to fix his ship. So he hasn't really made much progress there. So he has to head back to Navarro, which we last saw in the season finale of season
That's
1.
right. I thought it was that planet. Yeah.
So he has to meet some of his old friends. So he goes back to see Cara Dune and Grief Karga. And what did you think of them sort of coming back? Did you think, was it good for you to see them again, or were you not too fussed on those characters from season 1?
No, I enjoyed them coming back. And obviously they had to do it somehow because they are, OG characters and they are
Mm,
also important to the storyline. So I think it was fitting to bring them back. And again, this episode also kind of felt like a filler episode until the end.
yeah.
But it wasn't as bad as the second episode. Wait,
Mhm.
yeah, it wasn't as bad as the
Yeah.
second episode. It still felt like it had a spine to
Mm,
lay the foundations on, and it had a lot of action in it. It had a lot of comedy in it, and it just looked cool as well. Like the planet looks
mm,
cool. It was visually
yeah.
appealing.
Yeah.
So no, I think bringing the characters back was a smart choice. Obviously, they had to do it somehow. But no, I like their characters.
I agree. I really like those two, and I sort of wish we had sort of seen more of them. I would have liked sort of like the series to be obviously it's centered around the Mandalorian and Baby Yoda, but I would have liked those two to come along for the ride as well.
Mm,
I think perhaps as we sort of develop the plot of this season, I feel like the Mandalorian, when he's going to come into a bit more strife and he's going to need some backup.
mm-hmm.
So I feel like potentially later on we could have those two characters come along with Mando for every episode because I think that would be best. But because I really like those characters and they're the characters that sort of got Mandalorian started.
Yeah.
Like it gave the Mandalorian its big break, whereas now we're sort of seeing the Mandalorians drawing on the Clone Wars. It's drawing on a bit more of the original trilogy. So yeah, I think Mandalorian's best when it's dealing with the new characters and building new characters.
Mm,
But obviously, it's cool to see old ones too.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, so this episode, so Mando goes and he's back with his old friends, and of course, he's got a bit of time, so he's got a bit of time to do a mission. And that mission is something to do with an Imperial base, I think.
Yeah, so it's the last Imperial base that's left on Navarro, and they basically got to infiltrate it and destroy all the evidence and everything.
Mm. And I will say, that blue alien fish creature,
Oh,
was
I've got some things to say about him, but you go.
oh, I thought it was quite funny.
Yeah,
I obviously, you know, not the brightest man in the world, and we see him in the very first episode of The Mandalorian, of season one, where Mando catches him and puts him in carbonite, and
yeah,
now he's just like, you can see he's terrified of
yeah,
Mando, which is
yeah,
kind of funny.
yeah.
But what were your thoughts?
No, I was gonna say that Moff Gideon is treating him terribly. Oh my god, he's kind of like a prisoner of war in a way. But
Oh, you mean Grief Karga?
yeah, yeah. Sorry, my bad. Grief Karga's just treating him absolutely terribly. Like he's like, "Are you coming with
Yeah,
us, or are you gonna get burned? Grab that! Hurry up!" He's being really mean
yeah.
to the guy.
Like he's a prisoner. I think he is a prisoner. I think
I
there's,
don't think he's a prisoner. I think he's just doing like, uh, what's it called, like
community
community
service or something.
service.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
but he's like, okay, I'll take time off your
Sentence.
off your
Yeah.
sentence if you do this. And then he's like, it doesn't really give him a choice. He's like, you're
Yeah.
gonna do it, and it's like, hold up,
Yeah.
that's kind of a war crime.
Yeah. Uh,
Anakin Skywalker flashbacks.
yeah, no, that's funny. No, I definitely picked up on that. I was like, okay, Grief Karga is obviously a man you don't want to mess with.
Mm,
But that's all right. I think Carl Weathers is great.
yeah.
But yeah, so in terms of the action in this episode, we get to see some new sort of transport ships, which is cool.
You
And
know, I think it
obviously,
might have appeared in Rebels, but I'm not
oh,
sure.
okay,
Yeah.
okay, cool. And we get to see more speeder bikes as well, which is also cool. It's probably like one of my favorite sort of Star Wars vehicles and troopers are the Scout Troopers. So
Yeah, they look so cool, eh?
yeah, and you could tell a lot of the shots of the speeder bikes were very reminiscent of Return of the Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's one shot, like a close up of the gun, which fires, and it's like literally taken straight out of Return of the Jedi. So that's great.
Mm.
Obviously, we're all Star Wars fans here,
Fan
so
service.
yes, exactly. And we see, like, obviously they sort of discover in this base that there's sort of some experiments going on with cloning, perhaps.
Yeah.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on that? Obviously, I
Ooh.
think that's going to sort of develop as the main plot. I think the child is referenced, isn't he?
Yeah, so since the very first chapter of The Mandalorian, we have learnt that um, they're doing some sort of cloning DNA blood transfusions on the child. And the guy that appeared in the very first episode, I'm not sure if you can remember him, he also appeared in the most recent episode, the guy with the glasses. He's
Ah, yes,
actually
yep.
got a patch of Camino on his shoulder,
Ah,
which is obviously where all the cloning happened for the clones. So they're
okay.
hinting to cloning and all of these genetics, and that's why all the theories are coming up that Baby Yoda is a genetically modified species, and Yoda's also a genetically modified species. So they're not really real. But that's one of the theories, and that's kind of, it seems like they're going that direction, and if so, that's kind of cool. But
Mm,
no, I think bringing back that storyline, because that had just kind of been forgotten since the very first episode. So bringing that back, it shows that they're still continuing on that path, and that's some very interesting stuff that we have a lot to look forward to in these final 6 or however many episodes we have left. I think it's 4 actually.
mm, mm.
So no, I like where they're going with it, and I hope they continue on with it.
Yeah, I gotta say though, when I saw bodies in liquid like that, I couldn't help but get a bit of PTSD from the Rise of
Smoke.
Skywalker. And I was thinking for a second, I swear, if this show tries to justify that absolute nonsense that we saw in those last 2 episodes
Mm.
of the Disney trilogy, then it's literally like committing suicide. Like,
Yeah.
I think John Favreau is smart enough
To stay
um,
away from that.
to stay away from it. I think this show, John Favreau probably started this show immediately after The Last Jedi because he recognized that Star Wars needed
Star
saving.
Wars needs saving, and Jon Favreau's to the rescue.
Yes. So yeah, and I think the timing of that is not in like obviously it had to launch with the the launch of Disney Plus.
God
But
damn, I love Jon Favreau, man.
but yeah, the timing of that is not a coincidence.
Oh, definitely not. No.
And so I really fear the fact that this may be used to justify The Force Awakens or even
No, I
later
don't
on.
think they're going to go that direction.
Okay.
Honestly, no.
Well, I hope not.
I really don't think they will. I think they're trying to stick to, fan service and,
Mm,
what people really like from Star Wars. The
yeah.
Clone Wars, original trilogy, even prequels. Has some sort of connection to it.
Mm,
So I think they're sticking to what people love, and then they're just kind of forgetting about the new stuff, which is
mm.
obviously what we all really want.
Yeah, for sure. So, what did you think of the action in this episode? When obviously we get quite a few air battles as well. We get like a speeder chase, which was cool,
Hmm.
and then Mando. I don't think maybe you noticed this, but in the trailers for this episode, we get a really cool shot of the Mandalorian using his jetpack to fly off into the distance to,
Yeah,
obviously to go back and get Baby Yoda after this sort of is all over.
yeah.
But we don't see it in the actual episode, which is a bit weird.
I think
Did
we
I miss it?
do. No,
Did,
no. I think I do. I think I saw it.
oh, okay. So
Yeah.
whenabouts was it?
Uh,
Because when it was it when he was going to get Baby Yoda? Because I remember, obviously, there's a chase going on between
yeah,
Cara Dune and the Imperials, and the Mandalorian sort of like disappears for like 10 minutes, and in that time he has to go back to Navarro, back to the school to get Baby Yoda because Baby Yoda's been dropped off at school, the poor guy.
mm,
Um, and to get Baby Yoda, put Baby Yoda in his ship, and then go and fight the Imperials.
yeah.
So was it in between
I
there?
think he came out of the rebel, not the rebel base. I think he came out of the Imperial base, like from the top, like he blasted out, and then he
Mm,
landed, and then he like, I don't know what he did, but then he just flew off in the distance because I'm pretty sure the shot is he's like on top of like
mm,
the ground, and then he just like
yeah,
flies off. I'm pretty
yeah,
sure I saw it though.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I probably did miss that because I was thinking like that's such a cool shot and it's so Iron Man esque.
yeah,
Like I love that. Obviously, John Favreau directed Iron
he
Man,
did
so
too. Yeah.
I'm all for the the jetpack action
Mm.
of Mando flying around. So yeah, I was sort of confused. I was like, why is this all over the marketing but not in the episode?
No,
But
yeah,
my bad. I've obviously missed it.
yeah.
Did you think the timing was a bit unrealistic there for how Mando had to go back and get Baby Yoda while all this was happening, and then suddenly he shows up with his ship and Baby Yoda in the ship? I
Um,
thought that was a bit quick. Like he did
it,
that very quickly, didn't he?
it could be, but like I don't think we haven't really got the full story of how long that chase went on for.
Yeah.
Because obviously we don't know how far away the town is from where they were, so we don't know the distance and how long it could have taken because it's all
Mm.
new content.
Yeah. Fair enough.
But yeah, just from the perspective, it does look a bit unreasonable that he had to fly all the way back, pick up Baby Yoda, get in his ship, and then at the very last second destroy them. But I did want to pick up on a shot that I really liked, which was also in the trailer, and it was when the speeder bikes kind of flew off the edge of the mountain, and then they like
Ah,
came
yes,
down
that's
the
a
valley.
brilliant
Oh,
shot.
that was so cool, yeah, because
Yeah.
that's the
Yeah.
first time that we've ever seen speeder bikes um, on that sort of mountainous
Yeah.
terrain. They've always been on really flat surfaces. So seeing them like go down the hill like that, oh, that was just so
Mm,
cool. And I remember
yeah.
watching that shot in the trailer, and I was like, oh my god, yes,
Yes, yeah, no, that was a beautiful shot. And to be fair, there's a beautiful shot in the episode prior where the Mandalorians fly out and blow something up. I think it's they fly out of the Imperial ship as it blows up, and Mando's
hmm
sort of looking on in the sunset. And that's awesome as well. But back to this episode, I will say the action in this episode was, I think, quite poorly shot. That's just something that I thought. I don't think the like the camera work during the action was the best we've ever seen in the series. It was very like close up, but I couldn't really, make out what was going on most of the time with like the punches and the shooting and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just a bit of a pet peeve, like because I really don't like when the camera zooms in on the action and sort of like tries to make it all fast with shaky
And
cam and
it's hard
everything
to
like
follow.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I really like, when they sort of pan back and they just like let everything happen
Mm-hmm.
in the one shot. Um, but yeah, that's just one thing that I'll add. Um, Next episode, it's called The Jedi, or I think.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And do you want to say who it's directed by?
Yes. Well, obviously. Oh, who's it directed by? Dave Filoni,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
Yes. The director of the Clone Wars.
And
The
obviously
person
the
who
creator of Ahsoka Tano.
Yes, the other savior of Star Wars,
Mm.
Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni. I think the fans know who should be running Star Wars,
Why
but
did
those
they not
people.
make the sequel trilogy, man?
Oh, can you imagine? It would have been brilliant.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's a discussion for another time, unfortunately. But so we got the name drop in episode 3 or chapter 11 when Bo-Katan says, "Go to Corvus" or something like
Yeah.
that, and find Ahsoka Tano. And so, what are your thoughts? What would you like to see from Ahsoka Tano, and what are your sort of you know what's your wish list as to like how her character is going to be in the series?
Yeah, okay. So obviously the last we saw of Ahsoka Tano was in Rebels, I think.
Mm,
And she's obviously quite a wise person. If you've watched Rebels, you know what I'm talking about. But she's aged quite a bit, and she's left the Jedi Order, and she also has her two white lightsabers. And I obviously, the Rebels gets a lot of hate for its animation style, but I think what they did with Ahsoka in Rebels was quite a smart move. And in some ways, it has set up for further Star Wars media to continue her story arc. And I think if I was to see her Rebels version in The Mandalorian, I wouldn't be disappointed at all, because um, she's definitely going to be a lot older than what we saw her in the Clone Wars, and she is obviously going to have all the knowledge of what to do with Baby Yoda, and who to send Baby Yoda off to. So I do think if we see her as kind of this mysterious sort of character, kind of like Luke in Episode 7, where he's just kind of hidden away on this mysterious island and
mm,
he's sort of isolated himself from everyone, I think that would be a really cool way to take the character. Um,
mm.
and obviously, what we heard from in Episode 3, which was titled the Heiress, or
The
the
heiress. Yeah.
Heiress. um, I think Bo-Katan told the Mandalorian to meet Ahsoka Tano on
Corvus,
Corvus, which is where they're
the
going to.
city of
Yeah, the
Caladan.
city of Caladan on the forest planet of Corvus. So it's set in a forest, and I do think they
Mm,
have a lot of potential there to do something interesting with the character and make her really mysterious.
yes, it would be cool to see sort of like the Force Awakens Luke Skywalker, but done right.
Mm.
Because I don't think we're gonna get to Ahsoka and Dave Filoni's gonna make her like this crazy old, you know, Jedi who doesn't want anything to do with anyone.
Yeah.
Like Ahsoka's, I think, probably the best written character in all of Star Wars. So yeah, while I'm a bit like worried, I'm probably more excited because I know who's handling it.
Yeah.
And I mean, if Dave Filoni stuffs up Ahsoka, then like that's just what Dave Filoni has the right to do that because he
He
created
he
the character in
created
the
her, he
first
can
place.
stuff her up.
Yeah, exactly. So, whereas obviously we saw like Ryan Johnson with George Lucas's Star Wars. So, the creator of this character is directing the next episode, and so I'm very excited to see, first of all, like what she's actually going to look like in live action, because obviously we've never seen her in live action, and also going to see like, you know, where she's at like mentally and what she's up to, and you know, what is her perspective on the Jedi, because obviously she isn't a Jedi. I'm not sure what happens to her in Rebels, but she seems to be like a grey Jedi. So, you know, are we going to be seeing like the white lightsabers, perhaps? You know,
that'd
so
be so cool, man. Having like the
yeah,
white lightsabers face off with the dark saber. They've got
yes,
so much potential, yeah.
that would be a sight to see. Yes, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think, you know, while we've done this episode in two episodes at the same time, I think it's entirely plausible that after watching the next episode, we'll just want to come on and talk about it for, you know, quite some time. Considering, like, well, it depends on how good it is, I guess.
Yeah.
But for now, I would think we'll leave it there. Obviously, very excited to see what's to come
Yeah.
for this series. It sounds like the plot is sort of accelerating, so that's good. And hopefully we see a lot of Ahsoka Tano. She's not just like the end goal or anything like
Yeah.
that. That would be annoying if they were like, oh, we need to do this mission and that'll get us closer to Ahsoka Tano. Like, no, thanks. Just get us straight to Ahsoka Tano in the first 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And we'll see how we go. So thanks for watching, everybody. Come in next week. We'll have our thoughts on the next episode of The Mandalorian. So bye for now.
See ya.